Greetings, friends. This is Annette of AnnetteLeonard.com, back for another moment of chronic wellness. Have you ever seen one of those multi-car accidents? Regardless of how it happens, what a nightmare. The ones that I'm thinking about are the ones when you're in a long line of traffic and somebody hits somebody in back, and that person hits the next person, hits the next person, hits the next person, hits the next person, and, weeding through all the insurance paperwork and whose fault it is and whose insurance pays. Oh, what a mess, and what a frustration and headache and nightmare to puzzle all together. And I guess that metaphor is coming to me because it kind of feels like how life is for me right now. And when I started this vlog and podcast, I didn't ever want to just use it as like my personal video diary or my personal audio diary. And I am going to use today's segment to just unpack a few of the things that are going on in my world as the springboard for the next several episodes, conversations that we'll be having. So 2020 has started with a bang. And not necessarily a good one. You may remember that I real catastrophically twisted my ankle, including tearing some ligaments and tendons in my ankle. And then in the second week of the month, my mother-in-law was hospitalized for 11 days, 9 of it in the ICU. And shortly upon her being released, my wife was in a car accident, and very gratefully, she nor anyone else is injured, and that in and of itself is a miracle. And our car is totaled, which is not something we were prepared for financially. We were not prepared for having to figure out what that's going to have to mean. And the very fabric of my wife's business, she is self-employed, is being jeopardized and threatened right now by circumstances that are outside of her control. And that all came downhill while her mama was in the hospital, and the continued conversations about it are ongoing. But it's incredibly destabilizing across the board. And then my dad came to visit, and it was terrible. Turns out that he is suffering from some amount of dementia to some greater or lesser degree. And during his visit, I learned that my brother, who died just a little more than a year ago, his condo, who was not named in any way and therefore left to those of us remaining living family members, my mother died 3 months later, has been put up for foreclosure because my dad wasn't getting things taken care of. And how can I blame him? Because he's suffering from grief, and he is also suffering from dementia, it now seems, and he's also announced that he's getting remarried. And while he was out here, he was really hateful in some really hard ways. And last week was my mother's birthday, and yesterday was my birthday. And so right now, it feels like a multi-vehicle accident. It just feels like on so many fronts, so many things are so hard right now. And figuring out how to manage and care for myself in the midst of things that are so hard, and how to not just be sent straight to bed full time, because it is just flare of all my illnesses, is really challenging too right now. So I'm gonna unpack and pull on some of these threads. Oh, and while we're at it, I also still don't have a sex life, and that is causing continued difficulties in my marriage. So we'll get into it. We'll talk about a few of these things and talk about how you manage inordinate stress and being a part of a family and dealing with crisis and chronic illness. Stay tuned and sound off. In the meantime, thanks for sharing a little bit of this journey with me, and I'll see you on down the road until we're together again. Be well.